So if you want to take a girl and have her go from kind of liking you to really liking you and almost begging to be your girlfriend, there are 5 specific things that you need to do at least once, or you're never gonna have her chasing you the way you want. In this video, we're gonna tell you what those 5 things are. Hey, I'm Bobby Rio. I'm here with Chris Anderson. And this video is a little different because instead of telling you all the things that attract women, Chris and I were talking and we were kind of discussing a lot of the clients that we work with and how there's really 5 things, 5 sort of counterintuitive things in a way, that have to happen to move a girl from being like, I kind of like this guy, to being at the point where she's like ready to get into a relationship with you.
Yeah, no, I agree totally. And the best part about today, guys, get out a little piece of paper because this is just a little checklist. You only need to do these things at least once and you'll be a lot better with it. So let's hop into the first one. The first thing that you have to do at least one time in a new relationship when you're dating is politely slow her down at least one time. And what that means is, you know, sometimes I get on guys, or you get on guys in coaching because they're the ones going too fast, confessing their feelings, gifts, flowers. Sometimes it's funny. Sometimes the girl, when she likes you, is going fast. You know, it's week 2 and she's like, do you want to come meet my sister and her friends? Do you want to go over to my family's house? They're having a party. And of course you want to go along with it, right? You like this girl. Or maybe she wants you to, this happens a lot, she wants you to text daily. You're excited. Ooh, I'm talking to the girl I like every day. Maybe she wants to see you the day after you just saw her. At least once when she does these things, you've got to be the one to politely slow her down. Hey, I'm going to be busy working on a project this week. That sounds awesome. I'd love to go. Maybe we'll do it next week. Your family? They sound great. You know what? Can we go on a few more dates first and then I'll meet them? Bottom line, at least once, guys, politely slow her down.
Yeah, it's funny, Chris, we were going over these concepts and he was talking about it, and every time we talk about this thing, I automatically go through my mind and I look for things and experiences. And I can remember 2 times I did it, 2 different girls. One I felt a little bad about because she's a really cool girl, but she was, and I had come out of a relationship with a really sort of controlling girl who didn't like me hanging out with my friends, and I met this new girl and we're hanging out, and it was going really well. I was really into her. And then one day I was with my friends and she had like called me a couple times, and she was really, it wasn't like me, she was just calling because she like was happy. And I got on, I go, listen, I'm with my friends. I'm like, we don't need to talk. So, and I felt so bad about it afterwards because I could tell she was like hurt.
Right.
But then I noticed that she liked me even more. And then there was another girl, this was back in college, back when wrestling, Monday Night Wrestling was really popular, and all my college friends, we used to go to the bar and watch it. And this girl that I was talking to wanted to hang out one Monday, and I'm like, listen, Monday is guys' night. I'm like, we don't have to hang out. I'm like, Monday is we watch wrestling. I'm like, that's just how it is, right? And she actually told me like months later, she goes, when you told me that, I was so mad at you. She goes, but I kind of had, it was kind of like a challenge. Like I'm gonna be better than wrestling for him.
Oh my God.
So it was so interesting, but it's so right, is that, you know, a lot of times we tell guys like, you're going too fast. And when a girl has to slow you down, that's deadly. Yeah. So it's almost like beat her to it if you can, right?
Yeah. So the second behavior that you have to display at least once, and maybe you'll laugh at this because you're like, oh, I totally do this all the time. But if you really think about it, with the girls you like, you never do it, is disagree with her, right? If you think about it, that girl you like, and we've all done this, you pretty much agree with whatever she says. That show on Netflix, I love it. Do you like going to this place? Yes, it's my favorite bar. Do you like sushi? I love sushi. Guess what? The truth is, I don't like sushi that much. But I'm agreeing with it and I'm going along with it. So one of the things you have to do at least one time in a relationship while you're dating is disagree with her at least once.
Yeah, I was talking to Rob Judge, one of our friends, and we were talking about this, where he does it in a playful way where he'll go, say the girl will be like, I love Maroon 5. And he'll be like, Maroon 5? Like he's gonna like agree, and he goes, I hate them. I can't listen to Maroon 5, right? And it's like, cause you kind of build it up like you're about to agree, and then like...
I thought he was gonna do like a high five and take it away.
No, it's like Maroon 5, and then he'll just do it. And it's true, you know, we on a subconscious level, as Chris said, we want to get rapport with somebody we like, so you start always agreeing. And in some ways, it's kind of good, right? You don't want to constantly be breaking rapport with somebody, but if you're always agreeing, it comes across eventually like, on a subconscious level, it comes across like you're trying too hard.
Right.
You're not being completely genuine, right? And one of the reasons like jerks, we always talk about like women like jerks, right? A lot of guys say women only like jerks. And we as nice guys, right? We'll look at a guy who's a jerk and we'll think he's a jerk because he's disagreeing but the reality is he's just expressing his true opinion.
Himself, yeah.
He's actually not being a jerk. We're like, you're being the nice, fake, manipulative guy, and he's just being himself. And you want to actually go out of your way, like Chris said, at least once at some point to disagree. And it could be something like, it could be like an example of a Netflix show, or it could be something like, imagine she's like telling you a story about her friend and her, my roommate does this, this, and this, and it's so annoying. And she's like expecting you to go, because we always want to take this, your roommate. But you'd be like, you know what? I can actually see your roommate's point of view there. Like, if I was her, I would probably be that way too, and just take the other person's, a good thing to do too is with ex-boyfriends, right? A lot of times a girl will be bad-mouthing her ex-boyfriend, and like we want to jump and be like, this sounds like a cool guy.
Sounds like a jerk.
I want to hang out with that guy, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, just going against her at points shows that you have a little bit of autonomy and a little bit of your own opinion, your own self, and women actually like that.
What's cool is even if you agree with her, right? There's something called playing devil's advocate, which we've all heard. You can just take the other side to have a good conversation. You could say, well, what about the people that say this show is boring or too violent or it's a copy of an old show? Now you're kind of taking different sides, but you're really on the same side. So if you can't even find one thing to disagree with, play devil's advocate and take the opposite side.
Yep.
Cool. So the third one, I really love this one. You got to do this at least once while you're dating. First of all, it shows you're fun, it shows you're playful, and you don't, more importantly, don't take things too seriously. I call this make fun of love. So you say, Chris, what the hell are you talking about? Make fun of love? Really what you're doing is you're making fun of all the guys that fall in love too quickly, that confess their feelings on the second date, that tell her how much they love her after they've been out one time. If you can tease that a little bit, and not in a mean-spirited way, guys. It's not about like putting somebody down, but if you could do something that makes fun of the falling in love process, you really get a lot of points with her at least once. I'll tell you quickly what I've done in my life. I know a lot of people don't leave voicemails anymore, but like there's voice notes and messages. When I'd call a girl and she wasn't there, I would say something funny, like, sing like a song, like a love song. I'd be like, hello, is it me you're looking for? And then hang up, and then they call back. They're like, oh, your singing voice is funny. That was so great. But really, it's deeper than that. What I'm doing is I'm making fun of the fact that I haven't fallen head over heels for her in 2 or 3 dates. And what's really cool is she starts to think, yeah, she laughs, but then she's like, you know what? I'm going to get him. I will get him to feel that way about me. And it becomes a challenge versus confessing your feelings after one date.
Yeah, that's a great, there's multiple ways to do this. One of the things that I used to do on a date, this was something I do early in a relationship, similar to what Chris said, was I would take somebody else's point of view and I would tell a story that would allow me, similar to what he said in the beginning, to make fun of a certain type of guy, right? So I would talk about one of my friends. I used to have this friend, Jackie, and we were good friends, so we'd always tell stories. So then I would be out with a girl, I'd be like, oh, my friend Jackie would tell me these guys that after 2 dates, they would be like calling her and thinking they're their boyfriend. And it's like, who are these guys that are like,
right.
And by making fun of those guys, you're kind of showing her like, A, you're not one of those guys. You're aware enough that you know what girls deal with.
Right.
And you're also kind of showing her you're not going to get clingy. You're not going to become, because a lot of times girls worry, right? A lot of times a girl might like you, but she's worried if I show this guy too much interest, I think he's cute. I think we get along, but I don't know if I want to be his girlfriend yet.
Right.
So they kind of put a wall up because they don't want to lead you on until they're sure. But if you can sort of, John Sin calls it sort of melt away her objection in advance, right? So by saying something along the line of like, oh yeah, some of those guys just get so weird, they get so clingy. Or you could talk about girls. Oh yeah, like you ever girls get so clingy. You're essentially saying, I'm not gonna do that, so you don't have to worry. We can like hang out, you don't have to, and that takes the pressure off her. And when she doesn't have that pressure, it allows her to be like, oh, I can have fun with this guy.
Right.
I can be flirty with him. I can call him. and he's not gonna automatically think I'm his girlfriend after 2 weeks, which you may think, but a lot of guys are like that, right?
Right, exactly.
I've had guys we've coached guys who have told girls they're in love with them after 2 weeks.
No,
you know,
happens.
that happens a
They're
lot,
feeling it, yeah.
and that's very, very lot of pressure for the woman. So you want to diffuse that pressure in advance. So it's a great tactic. And
I would just say one caveat to this: she can't feel like you're a fake tough guy, like this guy's just scared of letting his loving feelings out. If she knows, hey, this even better if she's like, this guy's a sweet guy, this guy's a cool guy, a nice guy, but he's kind of toying with me and not revealing it yet and kind of making fun of it, even more points for you.
That's a great point, Chris, because when I first started figuring a lot of this stuff out, I went overboard.
Oh, okay.
And I can remember this situation with this girl, Grace, who I hung out with. And, we had met out at a party, and I was like, I was doing a lot of the good,
Right.
I was playing it right. I came across, and then when I hung out with her the first day we're hanging out, I wanted to keep that up, that cool guy up, and I was like I'm not looking for anything serious. It's like, you don't have to say, I'm not looking for like you don't go out of your way to.
Love is for suckers.
Yeah, it's just a matter of making like a subtle comment that you don't take it too seriously.
Right.
So that is a good point, because I went overboard with it, and I never saw Grace again, because she's probably like this, but like either she probably knew I was putting on a tough guy act, or I was coming across as a guy who was just gonna bang her and never talk to her again, which girls also don't want. So.
Yeah, it's great if they know, wait, I think he kind of likes me, but you hold back and you're showing that playful side, all the better. All right, so let's get into the fourth thing you have to show at least once. We're not saying do this 100 times. We're not saying, that you have to do it, but at least once is, and you hear us say this a lot, you have to show you can walk away from her at least one time. You have to show this in a relationship. Now, doesn't have to be a big dramatic blow up. I'm walking away.
Could be though.
It could be. But what I'm saying is, if that opportunity doesn't present itself, it can be something even very small. You go to the party with her. You're not attached to her the whole time. You go off and talk to somebody else. You go over and talk to people over there. You just show in the slightest way, I can leave you. I can walk away from you. When we used to teach a lot about going out to meet women, one of the things we'd always teach is, you approach women, you talk to them, at least once, leave them alone and go talk to somebody else.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways, as Chris said, you can do it very, very subtly, in the sense of like just walking away at a party. You can do it in a space where you demonstrate a boundary, right? And this doesn't always apply, but let's just say you have a girl who tends to be very, very flaky, right? And she's always like canceling plans. She likes you, but she's just a flaky girl. And one day she's like calling you and she's like, I'm gonna be late. And you're just like, listen, you know what? Let's
do it some other time.
Yeah, just cancel, just be like, cancel on her. Be like, I'm not in the mood for this, right? By pushing her away a little bit, it works. Now, when I laughed earlier when I said you could do it in a dramatic way, because one of my relationships, I can remember, we were at that like 3-month mark, right? Where, you're at the point where you're probably close to saying I love you, and we hadn't said it yet, but we both kind of knew we wanted to say it. And my philosophy is I never want to say it first. I just...
it has to be her idea.
Yeah. I always feel like it. So at this situation, not to get into a long story, but she had been she had dated somebody I knew, and it was kind of this weird element between us, and something came up with him, and I go, listen, this is too complicated. I can't deal with you having dated somebody that I was and I go, listen, this is just too much for me. And then, the next day she came over, she goes, but I love you. And that's the first time
she got it out, yeah.
Because it was like showing I was willing to walk away. And I didn't do it as a tactic. I really was kind of conflicted, because I had this friend that she had dated, and it was this weird thing. But it was interesting that got like me going, hey, I can't deal with this, got her to go, I love you, because she was dead. I was waiting for her she would not say it, and I was like, I'm not saying it if she does.
She caved in.
She caved in because I was willing to walk away. Now, again, that situation naturally happened, right? I didn't manufacture it, and you don't want to manufacture something
there'll be
like
opportunities.
But
there are opportunities all the time.
Yeah, there's plenty of natural ways, and it doesn't have to be as much as you saying, I don't know if I can deal with this. But just like the perfect example, right? Another example is if you're out with a girl and she's like talking to some other guy, right? And it's like, it's just like, and you're standing there. A lot of guys will stand there like a doofus. Like, just walk away from her.
Just walk away.
Let her see you walk away, right? And have her chase you down, because like you standing there like nodding your head while this other guy's like flirting with you in front of her is not getting you any points anyway.
Yeah, so you take out your checklist, you say, I've been dating this girl, have I shown at least once that I can walk away? That's all we're asking you to do. And if you have, then we can move on to number 5.
It's a fun one.
This is a great one. And I can, with confidence, say you probably haven't heard this one before. Now, we all know women are the prize, right? That's how they're portrayed. And a lot of the stuff we teach and coach you guys is to how to be the prize ourselves, right? At least make it even. Don't make her above you. At the very least, make you guys even. But there's one area where women really own the prize space. I don't know if you could guess it, but we'll call it intimacy, romance, the bedroom. They own it, right? It's always you're lucky. We have a saying for it, right? We go, oh, you got lucky last night, right? As in, she allowed you to do this. She allowed this to happen. If you can steal just a little piece of that prize frame from her, even one time, and make it seem like you're the prize in that area, even once, she's gonna like you even more. An example I teach in coaches, if you're kissing a girl that you like the first time, I guarantee you, you're not stopping first. You're going and going and going until she puts the brakes on. If you're the one to stop first with kissing and go, oh, what? Maybe you'll get more of this later, you're making yourself, again, in a playful way, the prize in that situation. It's something girls are just not used to.
Yeah, you want to know something else that's along with what you said, it was something that I saw back when I was sort of more of a student of this, and I used to watch guys that did really well, was I had this friend Jeff that I knew, and Jeff drank a little too much, right? Like he was a guy like, to him, the best night was like going out and drinking with his friends. And he'd have girls that like were ready to go home with him, but he'd be like, he drink, and like he's like not gonna be able to perform later.
They're all waiting around.
And he'd like have a girl who's like waiting to like, Jeff, can we leave? And he's like, no, I wanna like, and he'd keep drinking, and you could see the girls like rubbing.
That's what guys do though. They wait around until the girl's ready to go.
Yeah. So and he used to have I can't ever remember. I literally hung out with this guy like every week for like 3 or 4. I don't ever remember a Friday night that he didn't have some girl.
Right.
He wasn't the best at keeping them long term, I'll give it that. But as far as like having a girl every weekend that he had, and it was that, that was one element. Obviously there's more, but it was like just turning them away by like, no, I want to have another drink. When you could tell, she's like, come on, let's go. And she'd be flirting, let's go. I'll meet and he's like, no, one more drink, He
made himself the prize in an area where the girl is usually almost always the prize.
Yeah, normally it's the guy going, come on, we get out of here, let's go, right? And he took that opposite role. There's a lot of ways to do it. Like you said, pulling away when she goes to kiss you, rolling over, one of the things we talk about, if a girl, especially I've had a client who his girl used to kind of use it. Like they were in sort of that breaky, like, are we on a break? Are we not on a break type period? And sometimes she's like, no, we can't fool around because we're taking a break. And he used to be like, well, I would massage her. And I'm like, no. The minute she tells you that, roll over, get on your phone, and start checking sports. Just give her the sort of the cold shoulder. And he did it. And I swear to God, I got a message from him the next day. He goes, Bobby, you are a freaking genius. I rolled over, I froze her out, and she literally started massaging me and wound up turning me over and climbing on top of me. I'm like, girls need that. They need at least once
to do it,
to have to pursue you sexually.
Caveat 2, do this playfully also. It can't come off, again, I always teach this with the prize frame. If you come off as you're trying too hard to be the prize, you are not the prize, okay? Because the real prize doesn't try extra hard. It's kind of laid back, and he is the prize. So it's like, no, you are lucky if you're kissing me. It's like, no.
and to my client's point, and I explained this, I'm glad you brought this up too. When he rolled over, right, and he started checking his phone, I told him, I go, do not tell her that you're doing this because she's doing it. If like,
well, you ignored me.
Yeah, don't say you ignored me. I go, just be like, if she says, well, what are you doing? Just be like, no, I'm just looking at my phone. No, everything's cool. I'm just like, don't act like you're mad. Just be more interested in your phone than trying to hook up with her. And I still have the email. He's like, you are a genius. I can't believe, he goes, I didn't trust what you were telling me, and now I believe anything you're saying. I wound up actually they're actually together now, and it was a great experience. And that's like one of the great things is working with guys is that you kind of get real-time feedback of what works. And both Chris and I have been coaching now for 13 years. So we have a lot of experience, but even now, sometimes you'll be working with a guy and there'll be a tough situation. A lot of the guys that come to us, they've already messed up. They're, maybe they're in the friend zone. Maybe their girlfriend is pulling away. Maybe they, they want to turn things around and they've made some mistakes. So a lot of times you have to come up with a really new strategy.
Right.
And it allows you to figure a lot of things out. And
all this stuff is developed through coaching, guys. All this stuff is like real clients, real situations, real stuff that works. Every one of these things we went through today has come out of coaching guys. And I think that's why it's so powerful for guys to actually take that step and get specific feedback on their situation.
Yeah, because one thing that both Chris and I have discovered is that when you get an outside perspective, it's really different, right? Because you can come, even in my own situations, I could be with a girl and I'm in the friend zone and I'm like, I'm doing this right, I'm doing this right, I'm doing this right. I don't know what's going on. Why? And then you talk to somebody, your buddy usually doesn't know, right? Your friend, he's probably like, oh, just whatever, just tell her you like her, man. Just buy her roses. That's what my brother used to, just get her flowers, do a bold move. But when you talk to somebody who, whether it's Chris or when I talk to my friend Rob Judge, or they'll always be like, they'll find that one little thing and it's like,
a needle in the haystack.
But you're doing this, and how, of course she's, and that's really the benefit of coaching. And Chris, I know you've been doing a lot. I know I've been recommending a lot of my clients to Chris, and I've been getting tons of positive feedback where guys are writing me like, hey, I wasn't too familiar with Chris before you recommended him, and I've been working with him, and he got me the girl, or he did, and it's just been really, really amazing. And I know Chris actually has some space open right now. I know you're a little bit,
you're getting booked up.
You're getting pretty booked up.
You're working me hard.
Yeah. But yeah, you want to kind of give guys a quick idea of what working with you entails?
Yeah, I mean, it depends when you come to me, right? The sooner the better. Like we said, we can turn around the tough cases, but I just was working with a guy. He actually was somebody that came to me pretty early in the process and hadn't made a lot of mistakes. And we went through the whole thing and we got him the girl that he wanted and they're boyfriend, girlfriend now. And he said to me, he goes, Chris, I feel pretty lucky that I came to you this early in the process, because I think if I waited another week or two, we wouldn't have been able to turn this around. And that's the best thing I could hear, right? If you have an issue right now, get in, we'll deal with it. We'll start turning it around, but don't wait too long, because you want to give yourself the best chance to get this girl.
Yeah, you don't want to dig generally we found that most holes, if they're not too deep, you can dig yourself out of with a woman. But there does get to a point where you've dug such a deep hole that we'd have to be friggin',
right. It's like, I call it the miracle cases. Like, we'll try, we'll do anything. Like, believe me, we pride ourselves on doing anything.
And we've turned around, and there's been cases that I didn't think would turn around, and I've told clients like, and you've turned them around, and then then it's like sometimes it's just not. But the sooner you do work on it, it's definitely a true thing that. You don't want to wait until things are
You know what you always hear?
What?
Chris, I wish I did coaching with you earlier. I mean, it's the line you hear every time, So
what I'll do is, if you are interested in coaching and if you just want to have that option available, because trust me, when you knowledge is like this weird thing, right? Where you can understand everything, you can watch a video like this and be like, yeah, I get it. And then you meet that girl, and your brain is mush.
You're under the influence.
You're in emotional quicksand because she hasn't texted you in a day, and you're like, it's like that's when it's important.
That's what we're teaching you. That's how to do it under the influence. It's like an obstacle course that's easy that you could run. Now try to do it after you do 10 shots of vodka. You're like stumbling all over the place. You can't do it. And that's what coaching does. It keeps you focused when you really like the girl.
Yeah. So I'll leave a link below with some packages that Chris has and a little bit, more stuff of how the whole process works. I know a lot of people aren't familiar with what does coaching even work. We'll explain how it works and how Chris's process works. I'll leave that below for guys interested. Now, if you like this video, make sure you hit like, subscribe to the channel for upcoming videos, and most importantly, let us know in the comments section what topics you want to see us cover. What is something that you're like, man, because this is something that's kind of interesting, right? I can remember like 20 years ago when I was like kind of struggling, and I'd be like, had so many questions in my head. And
They couldn't answer it.
back then there was no internet, right? And
Right.
I would never get answers. I'd have to like ask one of my friends and be all embarrassed. So what do I say to a girl when I want to now anything you want to know, leave an anonymous
Put it in the
comment
comments.
below.
We love video ideas.
We love ideas for videos. So
Awesome.
hope you like this. Check out Coaching with Chris and leave us a comment.